My ex came back with $1 million to win me back. My name is Natalie, I'm 28 years old, and I work as a financial auditor in Chicago. 2 years ago, I ended a 5-year relationship with my ex-boyfriend, Sean. The guy was a software engineer, super smart, but completely addicted to risky investments and crypto. I got tired of watching him lose money we didn't have on shady schemes and crazy market bets. The final straw was when he took the $15,000 we'd saved for our wedding and dumped it all into a digital coin that promised to revolutionize the financial world. Naturally, we lost everything. We broke up in a bitter way. I moved into my own apartment and blocked him on everything. Over these past 2 years, I rebuilt my life from scratch. I got a promotion at work, bought my own car, and most importantly, I started dating James, an amazing guy I met at the gym. James is a firefighter, 31 years old, and the complete opposite of Sean. He's stable, reliable, and wouldn't bet $5 on anything he didn't fully understand. A month ago, James proposed to me. It was perfect. He planned a picnic in Lincoln Park, light snow was falling, and he had hidden the ring inside a box of chocolates he brought to keep us warm. I said yes without hesitation. We set the wedding date for October this year. Now comes the insane part. 3 weeks ago, on a Thursday after work, I was at Whole Foods buying ingredients for dinner when someone tapped me on the shoulder. It was Sean. My heart almost stopped. He looked different. Wearing a suit that must have cost over $3,000, a Rolex on his wrist, and smiling in a way I had never seen before. A mix of arrogance and nervousness. "Natalie, I know you don't want to talk to me, but I need 5 minutes," he said, completely ignoring my shocked expression. I couldn't say a word. I was frozen. He continued, "I know about James. I know you're engaged. But before you make any final decisions, I need to show you something." He pulled out his phone and showed me the screen. A bank account, with $1.2 million in it. "Remember that coin you said was worthless? It exploded. I didn't sell when it dropped to almost zero because I had nothing left to lose. 6 months ago, a Chinese tech company adopted it as the base for a new payment system. Its value multiplied by 50,000. I still couldn't process what I was seeing. He kept talking, getting more excited. "Natalie, I always knew you were the right one for me. I just wasn't financially ready to give you the life you deserved. Now I can. We can travel the world, buy a house wherever you want, have the family we always dreamed of. I bought a house in Malibu last week. You should see the ocean view." My mind was spinning. Part of me was furious. How dare he show up out of nowhere thinking he could buy his way back into my life? But another part of me was genuinely curious. Not about getting back with him, but about his true intentions. "Sean, I'm engaged. I love James. Money doesn't change that," I finally managed to say. "I know that's how you feel now, but just give me a chance. One date. Let me show you what our life could be now." I should have said no right then and there. I should have walked out and told James everything. But something in Sean's tone made me suspect there was more to the story than he was letting on. As an auditor, I've developed a sixth sense for when people are hiding something about money. "Fine," I said. "One date, but just as friends. I want you to explain everything properly." He smiled in a way that gave me chills. "Perfect. Saturday night. I'll pick you up at 7. When I got home, James was making dinner. He kissed me and asked how my day was. I almost told him everything right then, but something held me back. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the auditor in me needing to uncover the truth behind those numbers. For the next 2 days, I couldn't stop thinking about Sean. Something didn't add up. First, why did he show up right after I got engaged? How did he know? Second, someone with $1 million gain doesn't just walk around flashing a bank app to an ex in a grocery store. And most importantly, Sean never had the patience to hold on to a losing investment. He always sold in panic. I decided to investigate. I used my contacts at work to check public records on suspicious bank activity and financial red flags. I couldn't access his account details, obviously, but I did find something interesting. Sean had taken out several large, high-interest loans over the past 6 months, the kind of loans people get when they're desperate. My suspicion grew. If he really had over $1 million, why was he borrowing money? Saturday came. I told James I was going out with some friends from work. I hated lying, but I felt like I needed to uncover the truth alone. Sean picked me up in a black Tesla Model S. He looked even more polished than on Thursday. He took me to an insanely expensive French restaurant downtown, the kind where the main dish costs $80 and you need a reservation a month in advance. During dinner, he kept talking about his plans for the future. Buying a vineyard in California, investing in Miami real estate, traveling to Europe. He even talked about finally taking me to Tuscany like we once dreamed. "Sean," I interrupted mid-dessert, "I need to ask you something and I want you to be honest. Do you really have that kind of money?" He stopped talking and gave me a strange look. "Of course I do. Why would you ask that?" "Because I'm a financial auditor. I know when someone is lying about money. And you're lying." His face turned red. He started to stammer, trying to explain, but I went on. "You've taken out multiple loans in the last 6 months. Big ones. That Tesla? I bet it's leased or financed. Same with the Rolex. Same with the suit." Sean was silent for a long moment. Then he sighed and lowered his head. Okay, you caught me, but it's not what you think. Then tell me what it is. I don't have $1 million yet, but I will. I have an investment opportunity that's 100% guaranteed. I just need $200,000 to get in. The returns are going to be astronomical. I nearly laughed. Are you serious right now? You staged all this just to get me to fund another one of your schemes? It's not a loan, it's an investment. You'll make way more than any auditor could ever dream of. We'll make it together. That's when everything clicked. He didn't stumble upon my engagement by accident. He investigated me. He knew I had savings, a good financial position, and access to privileged information. How much do you think I have saved? I asked, pretending to be curious. I don't know. 150K? Maybe 200K? You've always been good with money. He wasn't far off. I had around $180,000 between savings and investments. But he didn't know one thing. I was never falling for one of his schemes again. Tell me more about this investment, I said, keeping a neutral tone. His eyes lit up. He went on about a tech company creating a new way to mine crypto, said he knew one of the founders, and they were offering a pre-IPO investment opportunity to select individuals. It all sounded so familiar. The same kind of pitch he gave 2 years ago. Same fake excitement, same impossible promises. I'll think about it, I said. Of course. Just don't take too long. It's only available for another week. He drove me home and I spent the night thinking. Not about investing, obviously. About how to handle the situation. Sean had crossed a major line. Lying, manipulating, trying to use me to fund another reckless idea. Then I had an idea. One that kept me up until 3 a.m., planning every step. I was going to teach him a lesson he'd never forget. On Monday, I called Sean and said I was interested. We scheduled a meeting for Wednesday to go over the details. He was ecstatic. Over the next 2 days, I prepared my plan. First, I told James everything. He was furious at first, but when I explained what I wanted to do, he agreed to help. Second, I used more of my professional connections to dig deeper into Sean's finances. I found out he owed over $50,000 in credit card debt, had 2 loans in default, and was being sued by an investment firm over unpaid consulting fees. Third, and most importantly, I discovered that the investment he was offering was real. It wasn't a Ponzi scheme or outright scam. It was a legitimate company actually looking for private investors. The catch? Sean had no connection to them. He had simply read about the opportunity online and decided to pose as a middleman. Wednesday came. Sean showed up at my apartment with a folder full of printed documents, probably straight from the company's website. He was nervous, but trying to look confident. Natalie, you're making the smartest decision of your life, he said, spreading the papers on my kitchen table. I hope so, I replied. But before I sign anything, there's something you should know. What is it? I called the company. His face went pale. What? I'm a financial auditor, Sean. You really thought I'd drop $200,000 without checking? I spoke to their investment department. They've never heard of you. He started mumbling excuses, but I continued. More than that. I found out about your debts, the loans, the lawsuit. You're broke, Sean. Not just broke, desperate. He tried to deny it, but I pulled out my phone and showed him the information I'd collected. You put on this whole show because you need fast cash. You thought you could trick me, use me, and vanish when I realized the investment was fake. Natalie, I can explain. No need, because I have a proposal for you. He looked confused. I'll loan you $5,000, no interest. You have 6 months to pay it back. Natalie, I don't understand. Why would you do that? Because I used to love you. Because I know you're not a bad person. You just make terrible decisions. And because I want you out of my life for good. I wrote the check and handed it to him. But there's one condition. You use this money to pay off debt. Not to invest, not to gamble, not to buy things you can't afford, and you never contact me again, ever. No manipulation, no surprises, no more appearances. He stared at the check for a long time. I could see it sinking in, the humiliation, the desperation, the unexpected mercy. Why are you doing this? He asked softly. Because I've learned that holding on to anger only hurts yourself. I moved on from you a long time ago. I built a new life, with someone who truly loves me. But you clearly haven't moved on. You're still stuck in the same patterns. He folded the check and slipped it into his pocket. Thank you, he mumbled. Don't thank me, just fix your life and keep your word. Sean walked out of my apartment that night, and I never saw him again. A few weeks later, James told me a friend had spotted Sean working at an electronics store in the mall. Apparently, he sold the Tesla and moved into a small apartment on the outskirts of the city. The check cleared 2 weeks later. I don't know if he used the money to pay debts like I asked, but at least he never came back asking for more. This experience taught me a few things. First, sometimes the best revenge is kindness. Sean expected me to be furious, to cause a scene, to try and ruin him. Instead, I treated him with dignity, and that hit harder than any yelling could. Second, I really am over him. For 2 years, I wondered if there were unresolved feelings, but when he showed up, trying to manipulate me, All I felt was pity. Pity for someone so lost they thought this was a good idea. Third, James really is the right man for me. When I told him about my plan, he didn't get jealous or insecure. He understood that I needed to close that chapter of my life, maturely, finally. Our wedding is in October, and I've never been happier. Sometimes I wonder what it would have been like if Sean really had $1 million and came back to win me over. But the truth is, money was never the problem in our relationship. The problem was always that he looked for shortcuts, for magic fixes, for easy wins without doing the hard work. James may not have $1 million, but he has something much more valuable: character. He works hard, he's honest, he treats me like a partner, not a funding source for his impossible dreams. I hope Sean learned something from all this. I hope he realizes you can't build a life on lies and manipulation. I hope he finds a way to be happy without deceiving the people who once loved him. But most of all, I hope I never have to think about him again. Sometimes life gives you a second chance to do the right thing. This time I did.
Comment. What would you do in this situation? If you like this video, don't forget to like and share so we can bring you more stories like this. Keep an eye out for more stories. Hope you have a good day.